All right, so this is my custom bike that I built. I wanted to, I don't know, like I said, I like working on bikes. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy a bike. I wanted this particular frame, found one on Facebook Marketplace. I ended up buying it for 300 bucks. It had issues with the thing. The kid told me that he had taken the chain off of it, which you have to literally cut the chain off of these things. But he took it off because it was rusty. So I didn't really care. I mean, if I was buying it and wanted to ride the bike, I probably would have questioned that. But the bike would move with the hub, so you could drive the bike with the motor. So it really didn't matter. It was, kind of rusty. Obviously, you'd left it outside or whatever. So I got it home, put a chain on it, cleaned it all up, and the chain was it would just continually go around with the motor because the freewheel was rusted to the hub. So that's why I cut the chain off, because it kept coming around. I actually got it freed up, but I got the bike functioning, running, driving, and then I tore it all apart. So I pretty much changed everything on this bike. The frame is electric frame. I think that's about it. The rest is all bought and custom made. This bike has a 1500 watt motor in the rear. It is a direct drive. It's got a 1000 watt direct drive in the front. There's no battery in the center here. I took that out. It actually has a controller here and a controller here. This one in the front is for the rear, for the front, and this one in the back is for the rear. That takes up the whole tube. I have 2 battery packs. They're actually not in the bags right now because I was using them on another bike. They're 28/8 a piece battery packs. So I got almost 60 watts of 60 amp hours of power on this bike. 50 whatever it is, 8 point something or 6 point something. I don't really care about that because it's not a bike I'm driving all the time. It's more of a bike that I don't know. It's fun to drive, but I just drive it around locally a little bit. I haven't put very many miles on it. I think there's like 8 miles on it or something. I'm kind of taking it slow at the beginning. The only thing that I'm really concerned about is the front fork. I've had a lot of, there's people online, if you look at YouTube, they rip the motors right off these things. I went through a lot of trouble to make sure this thing stayed on the forks. There's some torsion bars on it that I actually increased the size of the torsion bars. I've already done another video on this, so I don't really want to get into it, but this is a torsion bar you can buy from Amazon. This is some square tubing. I bought a piece of that, so I extended this bar all the way up here. These are heavy-duty hose clamps that are around here that are holding this bar in place, so everything is tied in together. So this is being held on with this thing's like 1/4 inch thick. These are, I want to say they were like $50 a piece. So there's $50 here, $50 on the other side. They could have been cheaper, but I don't really remember. Yeah, like I said, this is a 1000 watt hub motor. The one thing about, I had some criticism. Oh, you put hub motors in it. Not hub motors, but direct drives. Well, you know what? I have an Expedition, and I seriously may be pulling the rear motor out of that and putting in a direct drive motor. I'll have to change the controller, obviously. But these things are whisper quiet. I am going to take this thing for a ride so you guys can see how it goes. Everybody, oh, how fast does it go? Well, You would think, you know, with all this power, it would be super fast, but it's not super fast. So far, all I've seen is about 30 miles an hour out of this thing. But I can tell you right now, it'll go 30 miles an hour with the throttle. It'll go 30 miles an hour with me pedaling it. I did put Canis sensors on, one on this side, there's one on the other side. This one here is for the rear motor, this one here is for the front motor. So most of these bikes with the dual hub motors on them, they just eliminate the front for the Canis sensor thing. So it's basically throttle only. I wanted to have everything on this thing, so I spent a lot of hours researching, and with a multimeter, I can't tell you how long I spent with a multimeter on this bike, but I've also done a couple of other things with it. The lighting on it is all 12 volt, so I have a 12 volt transformer on it. It doesn't have a brake light yet, it's just running lights, but it's a very bright running light. I do have a, you know, I had a choice of buying mirrors. I'm looking at mirrors, and I run across this this screen. So this is a camera, and the screen's up on the handlebars here, so I don't need mirrors. I have a screen. Kind of stupid, but you know, this bike is, I was building it for a show bike. I actually do have I have a show to go in the spring with this thing. It's a library is putting in electric chargers for cars, and they're going to have a everything electric day. So they're actually going to pay me $300 to go down there with my bikes and, you know, talk to people and show them off. And I would have done it for free, but they're insisting on paying me, so I'll take the money. And you know, it's, so I mean, I bought it, I built it for fun. When I take it out to ride it, it's for fun. It goes like a bat out of hell to 30 miles an hour, but I mean, 30 miles an hour is pretty quick on a 20-inch wheeled bike, and it's fun. There's a smile on your face the whole time you're driving it. But that's about all it goes. I am going to try to trick the bike. If I tell the thing that it's set for 20-inch wheels. If I tell it has 28-inch wheels on this thing, it should go faster, because I've already overrode. So to back up, this controller here, well, not controller, this screen goes to the back motor. The front hub motor did not come with a screen. I really didn't want two screens because it just gets too confusing, but I also didn't want two throttles. So I spent a lot of time, everything's off of one throttle. This is the only, it's a thumb throttle, that's all I got. You do have to liven up the front motor. If I didn't have to liven up the front motor to have one, I could just turn it off and then it would just be in rear wheel drive. But I wanted to have one throttle. The guys that have two throttles, this is a thumb throttle, so all I do is go like this. A lot of them, they're twist throttles. I can't stand twist throttles. This motor actually didn't come with a thumb throttle, it came with a twist throttle. Like the Lectric, it was one of those half twist throttles. This is not part of this motor kit. I ended up buying this separate, putting it on, you know, again, a little bit more complication. But I don't have any throttle on this side. So the guys that set these things up, like I said, first of all, they don't put the two Canis sensors in because they don't care about it. And they have a twist throttle for the front motor over here. But instead of twisting it like you would normally twist it down, they have to twist it up because it's backwards. You have to put everything on backwards because it's meant to go on the right-hand side. So if I had a twist throttle on this side, I'd be twisting one way, and this side you'd have to twist the opposite way, and it's just, I didn't want to do that. So all I got to do, power up the rear motor, is to hit this button, it powers it up. Then it's controlled off of this one throttle over here. But like I said, this unit has the sending unit on it, so this has to be powered up. So once this is powered up, the front is powered up. So to make it so that I could take it out of front wheel drive or all wheel drive, I put the switch on. So if I want it just in rear wheel drive, I put it on the 1 position, and if I want it in all wheel drive, I put it on the 2 position. And honestly, I've only driven it on the 2 position right now. But if you were out, truly riding it, and you wanted to save battery, you could run it on just a one motor. This is a USB port that I put on here so that I can charge my phone. I could also charge my screen. This is for the headlight, the switch for the headlight. It's a fun bike, like I said. We are going to take it out later and see what, so you guys can see how it goes. But that's a motorcycle light on the front. Let me tell you, boy, that thing's pretty bright too. I wish I could put them on all the bikes, but they can't because it's 12 volt. You'd have to, I could actually do it because I've cut into all the wiring on all the bikes, except for my wife's bike yet. But anyways, that's this bike, and like I said, we'll go for a ride. Spins the tires when you take off in the front. So this thing brakes are nice and smooth on it. I'm not pedaling at all right now, I'm just using the throttle. Like I said, this thing moves right out. I've only got to watch this corner with all the sand because I don't know if you could hear that. That's the tires just wanting to take off here. That's going up a hill. Like I said, this thing does 30 miles an hour with the throttle. I'm pedaling pretty good now. I still got pedal left, but I can't do much more with this thing. So it is what it is. And I did tell it had 27-inch tires on it, so I want to see if I can get some more out of it, but it's not going to happen. Alright, we'll throttle now, see what happens. Just throttle only. Cruising along. Like I said, this goes 30 miles an hour. I'm pedaling like a madman, or 30 miles an hour with the throttle. But this thing is, I just shifted down, but I didn't have to because I just hit the throttle on this thing. I'm gonna hit this rail trail a little bit. See that? Just ripped the tires right out. She wants to go. Slow it down a little bit and just hit this thing with the throttle, see what happens. Ready? Still having a hard time holding that front tire down, but I did it. Just wants to spin, so you gotta be careful on the rail trails or dirt. That's why when we went on that corner I said you gotta watch it. So I am in pass 5. Knock it down, see what 1 does. Still takes off, but not like it did before. Much smoother. I don't know if you can notice the lack of whirring on the motors because they're direct drive hubs. It's so much quieter. I have it in Assistance 1, and this thing wants to go, so probably not the best idea to run this thing on a rail trail. I could knock it down to just the rear motor. Let's see what that does. Oh. So that doesn't spin the front tire. No spinning on the back at all. So I guess if you're going to ride on a rail trail, you better do it in one-wheel drive. We'll get back out on the road here. Pull over here and set this thing back to the 20-inch wheels. See if there's a difference. I thought I could fool this thing into thinking I was only doing 30 miles an hour, so yeah. Bike's a bike that I think assist 5 and just pedal like a madman. Have some fun on it while you're driving. So I got the GPS on now, and like I said, I always take off with the throttle, get me going here. You know, especially if you're at a stop light or you're playing with cars, you want to get going. So I mean, I'm cranking up a hill right now, not a serious hill, but ain't no slowing this bike down. We're doing 25 miles an hour right now, according to the GPS. My bike says it's doing 10.6 miles an hour. So the speedometer, I don't know. Doesn't matter what I do with it, it's just off. So up the hill we did 26 miles an hour, 27, and now we're down the other side of the hill. We're at 31 now. It says 28, but I don't, oh, okay, 33. We must have lost the satellite for a minute. So 33 is the highest we just saw. But that's pedaling. How you doing? So we'll try just with the throttle here. We're at 30 with the throttle, 31. Actually slowing it down a little bit because there's a corner here. Now I'm on it. So what's that? 33, 34 miles an hour down the hill with the throttle. I'm going back to pedaling now. 29 miles an hour, 32. I'm on a tree cover, so I do keep losing the satellite. But we're averaging 31 to 32 miles an hour going, you know, on a straightaway here, and I'm not pedaling that hard. It's averaging like 30 miles an hour. So we're just pedaling along here, and I'm not breathing heavy, so I'm not working that hard. Got a bunch of kids here. How you guys doing? Bunch of e-bike is going by. Yeah, this thing wants to go 30 miles an hour whether I'm pedaling or throttling, so we'll call this the 30 mile an hour bike. So we're gonna go up a hill here. I'm doing 30 miles an hour right now. I'm sure it's gonna slow down a little, but we'll see. Again, under the tree cover, so things a little confused. Seeing 27 coming out, 27, 28. Sticking around 27, so 27 up a good sized hill. 28, flatten out a little bit here. 30, 31. I tell you, I got a seat on it. Yeah, it's got green on the seat. Looks pretty cool, but it ain't anything like my my Cloud 9s. So if Cloud 9 wants to customize a green seat for me that matches this bike, I would be more than happy to put it on. I'd even pay for it if you want it, you know. Only so much, but you know, if you want to charge me 35 bucks for a custom-made seat, I'll pay it. So I'm screwing around with these Lectrics. I think they're a great company, and the bikes are interesting, but I would like to get into a 24-inch bike, and I might even want to try a 26-inch bike that now that I've been on them for a while, and you know, get out of this 48 volt range too. I mean, I think I made a big mistake with this bike. I already had invested money in one 48 volt big, you know, 28.8 auxiliary battery, so I figured, well, another 500 bucks, I'll have two of them. And but I really wanted to get into 52. I actually want to get into 72 volt, and with the 72 volt, we could have gone with a bigger motor. And with the 48 volts, I'm limited to the 15's the biggest I can put on this thing. As far as I know, that's, you know, you're not going to get a lot of speed out of it, even if you did, because it's 48 volts. It's a combination of your voltage and your amperage. So you bring your voltage up, you drop your amperage down to get your power. So that's why, you know, you go with a 72 volt system, and it's going to be much more efficient. So, but the batteries are expensive, and I didn't want to spend the money on them. You know, I go out on this thing, and I feel better on it every time. You know, it's a new build. I want to make sure you get all the nuts and bolts tightened. Make sure that the not going to rip your front motor off your forks, your rear motor off the forks, but think I took good care of that. You know, I made sure everything was torqued down to the specifications that were approximate, because I didn't have any specifications. So pretty close to electric specifications, though. Maybe a little bit tighter. You know, a little bit tighter is not bad. They just don't want you to strip out the thing. So the hum you hear is the tires. You get a little bit of a motor noise, but not much. And it's coming from the front, because like that's what I can hear. I can't hear the back, so that's why the Expedition may end up with a 1500 watt motor on the rear, or maybe it'll end up with a motor that's on the back of this, and I'll go with a 72 volt system on this bike. Who knows? Gotta give it a little bit of a break. So this thing says we're doing 31. That's what my GPS says. So yeah, I mean, the people that wanted to see me do 50 miles an hour with this, not gonna happen. Pretty sure you get into the 72 volt ones, bigger motors, you can get up there. I don't know, you know, maybe with a 24-inch bike or a 26-inch bike, you'd probably feel a little bit better on it, maybe. I really would like to try 24. Any manufacturers out there that have got a 24, and I know there's only a handful of them. I think Ad Motor's got one. I don't know if Magic Cycle has one, but I'll tell you, Magic Cycle, you guys want to send me one of those Deers 2620, I would be more than happy to review that thing. And I wish you still made the color that I put on this bike was to imitate the color that you painted that neon green one. I love that color. But Magic Cycle, you want to send me one? Send me the yellow one, unless you got a green one. But yeah, that's I may end up buying one of those bikes. Like I said, though, I really wish they'd make a 24. So we're almost back here, and I don't think we dove into the battery at all. Ugh, Jesus. This thing could use a rear suspension Magic Cycle. So anybody that's not familiar with Magic Cycle, and I'm not, because I've never physically seen one, just seen them online, and I'm back home, but I'm going to sit here for a minute and tell you about Magic Cycle. So there's a guy, Russ is right, and I watch him, and he reviews all kinds of bikes, but he's got a Magic Cycle Deer 20-inch, I think they're calling it. They started out, they were calling it the Mini, now they're calling it the 20-inch, and they make it 26. But that thing's got a rear suspension in it, and I mean, other than the high-end Treks and stuff like that, I don't know of many out there with the rear suspension on it, but boy, that is something I'd like to try. I mean, this bike here, I hit the bump. I'm feeling it through the seat because I don't have the Suntour on this thing. Suntour, you want to send me one? I'll throw it on here and tell everybody you gave it to me. So, all right.